Good afternoon. My name is David Currow. I'm the Deputy Vice-Chancellor for Health and Sustainable Futures here at the University of Wollongong, and it's my very great pleasure to welcome you here this afternoon to this launch. I too would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands on which we meet today and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, and welcome all people from Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander backgrounds who are here today. I'm also delighted to welcome a number of special guests to this function this afternoon. I'd like to thank Auntie Joyce Donovan for her wonderful welcome to country on the roof today. It's a great pleasure to welcome the Australian Research Council Deputy Chief Executive Officer, Dr. Richard Johnson. Great to have you here. Thank you for making the time to be with us. The Federal Member for Cunningham, Miss Alison Burns, who is a great friend of the University of Wollongong and a fierce advocate for the Illawarra. Thank you for making time. The Vice-Chancellor, welcome back. Great to have Professor Patricia Davidson here today, and Tricia's support for particularly collaborative work between universities is an absolute hallmark of her leadership. So thank you for being here today. The person we're all here to celebrate really today, and that's Professor Zhongji Jiang, and you're the Training Centre Director. Distinguished Professor Jiang has done an amazing job in bringing this together, and let's acknowledge that now. Members from the Office of the New South Wales Chief Scientist and Engineer, welcome. Other university and industry partners that are celebrating with us today and going to work with us in the years ahead, welcome. We have apologies from the Honourable Jason Clare, Minister for Education, and from Miss Judy Zielke, the Australian Research Council Chief Executive Officer. So it's my very great pleasure today to introduce distinguished Professor Zhongji Jiang. He is the Director of the Australian Research Council Industrial Transformation Training Centre for Innovative Composites for the Future of Sustainable Mining Equipment at the University of Wollongong. Distinguished Professor Jiang is currently at the University of Wollongong and is Director of the Australian Research Council Centre, as I've noted, but is also the previous Director of the Australian Research Council Industrial Transformation Training Centre in Rail. To date, distinguished Professor Jiang has been awarded an Australian Research Council Future Fellowship, many Australian Research Council Discovery Grants, over 20 industry projects collaborating with Bow Steel, HBIS, and Steel, BlueScope Steel, Australian Coal Association, and Azure Mining Technology Proprietary Limited Australia. He has an extensive history in research supervision, successfully mentoring over 70 higher degree research candidates, 43 doctoral candidates, and 32 master's candidates to completion, and over 15 early career researchers who now occupy key positions in the steel industries and at educational institutions across Australia and indeed the world. He has established outstanding groundbreaking research foundations for green nano-lubrication technology, metal and composite rolling technology, advanced manufacturing of metals and their product applications in Australia and overseas. He is world-renowned expert in advanced manufacturing and has published over 700 articles, including 533 refereed journal articles, 145 refereed conference papers, 5 monographs, and no fewer than 31 edited books. Do you ever sleep? And has been the recipient of more than 40 awards. Professor Jiang.
Welcome to Ms. Alison Burns, Member for Cunningham, Dr. Richard Johnson, ARC Deputy CEO, Professor Pressure M. Davidson, our Vice Chancellor, and Professor David Carlo, DVC for Research and Sustainable Futures. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it's my great pleasure and honor today to be here at the launch of ARC Industrial Transformation Training Center for Innovative Composites for the future of sustainable mining equipment. Our journey has been shaped by a vision, dedication, and a deep belief in the transformative power of education and training. The tireless hard work, commitment, and the passion of our team has turned this ARC training center into a reality. The mining equipment, technology service, main sector contributes $92 billion to the Australian economy, provides over 500,000 jobs, and has a village growth rate of 7%, much higher than the average growth of the Australian economy. The projected growth for main sector is estimated to add more than $50 billion to the local economy by 2030, and almost 80,000 jobs, new jobs. This is covered with a transition and the transformation of the sector towards more effective, cost-effective, more innovative, and sustainable operations. The dramatic change will require safer machinery, plant, and equipment able to operate in deep mine and harsh environmental. The main sector will require a diverse and flexible workforce of high-skilled engineers with innovative thinking and broad knowledge of the future technologies, economic commercialization opportunities, and environmental and social responsibilities. As sustainable mining operations become more common in the future, we need innovative composites to manufacture the desired mining equipment, such as mining trucks and mining excavators, to produce more copper, lithium, iron ore to drive the renewable energy transition. Before introducing our ARC Training Center, I'd like to highlight the significant achievement we have already made. For example, we have designed a new wear testing rig to evaluate the wear resistance of developed steel composite at the simulated mining environmentals. We have also conducted numerical experimental study on the hard and cold formability of composite and successfully manufactured mining equipment components. These achievements have laid a solid foundation for the establishment of the ARC Training Center. The center is a home for learning, a harbor of knowledge, and a haven for personnel and professional groups. Led by the University of Wollongong, the center will integrate research and training into 4 research programs, and will be supported by 7 training nodes at the University of Wollongong, the University of Queensland, the University of Adelaide, Deakin University, Curtin University, the University of New South Wales, and the Western Sydney University. The center will also be supported by 8 leading industry partners from world leading steel manufacturing, mining equipment manufacturing, and mass sector. Domestic industry include Nobel, Viceroy, Commercial, SNS, Top N, and Australia N and Y. International industry partners include Bow Steel and HBRS. Support is also provided by New South Wales government. The range of industry partners reflects the local, domestic, and global nature of the technology supply chain as it relates to mining equipment and materials manufacturing. And will add depth and width to the center outcome. This center is committed to addressing specific challenges to Australian future industry in manufacturing and mining through innovative campuses, advanced manufacturing, university industry collaboration, mining automation to improve the health and safety of mine workers, and most importantly, training of young professionals. We aim to improve Australia's international standing in the development of innovative mining equipment materials and manufacturing processes, facilitate mining automation and safety, and enhance the international competitiveness of the Australian mining industry. The outcomes of the center will bring significant commercial, economic, environmental, and social benefits to Australia. For example, there is a huge potential for the application of our outcome in a wide range of engineering fields, including infrastructure, energy, marine engineering, transportation, and chemical engineering. In closing, I greatly appreciate your attendance here today. We hope the ARC-ITTC composite, innovative composite for sustainable mining will stand as a guiding light to illuminate the path of progress and lifelong learning for young professionals to come. Thank you all for your support. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, distinguished Professor Jiang. I'm now delighted to introduce Dr. Richard Johnson, Deputy Chief Executive Officer of the Australian Research Council. Dr. Johnson brings a broad range of policy and program delivery experience as a senior executive in the Commonwealth Government, spanning both domestic and international roles. Prior to taking up his current position at the Australian Research Council, Richard was First Assistant Secretary, Social Cohesion and Multicultural Affairs in the Department of Home Affairs. He has represented the Australian Government as Minister Counsellor, Home Affairs, at Australia's permanent mission to the United Nations in Geneva, Switzerland, and provided foreign policy advice to the Prime Minister while working in the Department of Prime Minister and Cabinet. Richard has a PhD in the history of political philosophy, and it's great to have you here today. Thank you so much for making time.
Well, thank you very much for that introduction. What a great speech, Professor Jiang. How inspiring. And sometimes I think, have I read as many books as you've written and edited? So quite amazing. Good afternoon, colleagues and distinguished guests. It really is a pleasure to be here. Can I commence by strongly associating myself with the acknowledgement of the traditional custodians of the land on which we speak, and what a terrific opening ceremony we had upstairs. And on a personal note, can I just say how proud I am to be part of a diverse, tolerant, open country where we have Indigenous Australia at the very heart of our national identity. Can I say how fantastic it is to be here in Wollongong to help you launch this very, very significant and important training centre. And we've just heard from Professor Jiang the really important segments of the work that you'll be taking forward over the next number of years. Amazing stuff, really, really well done. As many of you may know, but if you don't, I'm about to tell you, the University of Wollongong has a strong research record, receiving nearly 250 million in ARC funding alone in the last 10 years. So well done, University of Wollongong. This is clearly significant for the university, but for the community you serve as well, and for Australian society more broadly, as we've just seen, some of the work that you're doing supporting some of the key industrial sectors that we have as a nation. And it's great to see Wollongong partner with other Australian universities for this important research centre, together with the industry partners. And I don't think the Vice-Chancellor will mind mentioning to me how proud I should be, and I am, to see this board behind me, which just shows the extent of the partnerships that you've built to launch this centre. So fantastic. And it's something, of course, that the government through the ARC is strongly supportive of and encouraging. Colleagues, it's valuable also to take a step back every now and then just ask ourselves, why is it important to support and enable research excellence, both basic and applied? Of course, there are many profound reasons, and there's probably many profound reasons going on in your minds in this room full of incredibly smart and switched on people. But the one I particularly like, the framing that I like, is found in a really good book by Jason Owen Smith, his monograph called Research Universities and the Public Good, noting that research-trained people carry knowledge out into society and turn it towards purposes that might never have been envisaged in the original work. He makes this remarkable synthesis. Despite all their problems and despite the skepticism that they face, research universities remain the most impressive machine for developing, conserving, interpreting, teaching, and using knowledge ever to be found in human history. Developing, conserving, interpreting, teaching, and using knowledge, all of which is going to be taking place in this very project. As you know, the ARC funded projects are highly competitive, and rightly so. We just don't fund good projects, and we don't even fund very good projects. What we fund is excellence. So, may I say to you, Professor Jiang and your team, well done and congratulations. Your excellent project aims not only to drive innovation and improvements for our manufacturing and mining sectors, for example, but also, and this is really important, also it will facilitate intergenerational knowledge and skills transmission. You spoke about that in your opening speech, Professor Jiang, and spoke about it very well. It's so important. Among researchers, which was, of course, will build Australia's capability going into the future. So that's fantastic for this university, and it's fantastic for the local community, but it's fantastic for Australia. So in concluding, I wish you and your team, many of whom are assembled here today, together with your industry partners, the best as you go about this very important and serious research and the translation, of course, that will involve, and the work that lies ahead. And we at the ARC, can I say officially, are very much looking forward to following your progress. So thank you and well done.
It's now a great pleasure to invite Alison Byrne to the podium as the member for Cunningham and, as I said a little earlier, a great supporter of the University of Wollongong. Please.
Thank you so much for that very warm introduction. And good afternoon, everyone. It is an absolute pleasure to be here with you today to recognise this important milestone in Australia's research landscape. I too would like to acknowledge the Dharawal people as traditional custodians of the land that we are meeting on and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. I would also like to acknowledge my good friend, Professor Patricia Davidson, the Vice-Chancellor, who is an absolute champion for our university here in the Illawarra, and I love hosting her visits down in Canberra. Professor David Currow, Deputy Vice-Chancellor, Research and Sustainable Futures. The celebrity here today, and it's just wonderful to see your passion as well. I love coming to universities and seeing that absolute energy and passion shining through as soon as I walk through the door. Distinguished Professor Zhangji Jiang, and who's the Director, obviously, of the ARC Training Centre for Innovative Composites and the Future of Sustainable Mining Equipment. Dr. Richard Johnson, Deputy Chief Executive Officer of the ARC. And I am pleased to be here today representing the Minister for Education to officially launch the ARC Training Centre for Innovative Composites for the Future of Sustainable Mining Equipment. The University of Wollongong's contribution to research continues to grow both nationally and internationally as you deliver research that translates new discoveries into social, economic and environmental outcomes that have global impacts. The University of Wollongong has been awarded more than $71 million in ARC funding in the last 5 years, with $20 million just this year alone. This represents your excellence in research over your 40 years since becoming an independent institution in 1975. And I also note that the University of Wollongong is among the top 1% of universities worldwide, 14th among the world's best modern universities, and is among the top 150 in the world for graduate employment rates. What an achievement. And today we add to your success in celebrating the launch of the ARC Training Centre, which has been funded through the ARC's highly competitive research grants process, as you've outlined today, for world-leading excellent research. I would also like to congratulate Professor Jiang and his team as we launch your training centre today. The ITTC Composites and Mining is only one of 6 training centres to be funded in 2022 as part of the government's $29.2 million investment through the ARC's Industrial Transformation Training Centre scheme. The ITTC Composites and Mining was awarded $4.9 million over 5 years, which will generate strong national and international collaboration, as we've seen here. It will be supported by an additional $2.5 million in cash contributions and $9.1 million in-kind contributions from 7 universities, including the University of Wollongong and 8 industry partners. This collaboration will facilitate connection and research among leading experts, researchers and institutions, and the sharing of their groundbreaking findings with a national and global audience. Significantly, the ITTC Composites and Mining will train and produce highly qualified professionals and engineering graduates who are empowered to create and take on future challenges in the mining equipment, technology and services sector. By producing a workforce that meets future skills demand, the ITTC Composites and Mining will enhance the competitiveness of Australia's mining industry and contribute to a net zero future. I'm excited to hear that the research team here are facilitating 4 multidisciplinary integrated research programs, 3 of which include innovation in materials design, fabrication and evaluation of performances, which will focus on steel composites material selection, fabrication and comprehensive evaluation and their properties. Advanced simulation and manufacturing innovation, which will focus on innovative manufacturing and simulation to accommodate small-scale structure growth and changes in composites materials' internal structure, shape and volume. safety, maintainability and reliability of mining equipment, which will focus on resource extraction environments, mine safety and maintenance and reliability engineering. And one of the things to remember is here in Australia, we are the safest miners in the world, and that is partly due to the work that we do here at the University of Wollongong. These research programs will bring together world-leading Australian and global mining equipment manufacturers, steel producers and mining companies to develop advanced manufacturing processes and fit-for-purpose composite materials with higher resistance in corrosive and high wear conditions, extending the life of key components and increasing sustainability in the sector. It is expected that the research outcomes of ITTC will facilitate the application of innovative composite materials across diverse industries, including shipbuilding, construction and transport. The ITTC Composites and Mining is well positioned to attract students and researchers who are passionate about making a positive difference in Australia's mining industry. And I'm pleased, as you've outlined today, to mention that this new training centre is expected to attract 40 students, 50 researchers, 10 research fellows and 30 research assistants. And it was great to see two of your students already here welcoming us as we came through. I look forward to your progress and achievements well into the future. Congratulations again to you and your team. And with that, I officially launch the ARC Training Centre for Innovative Composites for the Future of Sustainable Mining Equipment. Thank you. Days, my goodness. All right, you can have a little well. No, could you help me? All right, here we go. We'll just pause. Ready, set, go.
It's now my very great pleasure to introduce to the podium Professor Patricia Davidson, Vice-Chancellor of the University of Wollongong, and frankly, a force of nature. Trish continues to provide extraordinary leadership as she has done throughout her career, and thank you for making time today, Vice-Chancellor, to be here and to give today's vote of thanks.
Thank you.
So thank you so much, David. Congratulations to the team and the faculty. It's a great pleasure to be here with you today. I too, in this very special week in the history of Australia, pay my respect to the traditional owners of the land and thank Auntie Joyce for her welcome. And I acknowledge any Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander people with us today. Thanks so much for being with us today, Alison. Alison, as you've heard in several speeches, is such a champion for our university and our region, and a stellar alumna. It's great to have you here, Dr. Richard Johnson from the ARC, and of course, Professor Jiang. Congratulations to you and your team who have really done such an amazing job. And I'd also like to acknowledge Professor Gosolalishi, who is the Executive Dean for this amazing Faculty of Engineering and Information Science. It's such an important event today in the history of the University of Wollongong. We are a university born of steel. That was the very genesis of our creation here in this beautiful city of Wollongong. And across the nearly 5 decades of the University of Wollongong, we've seen amazing transformation. And we've seen the evolution of mining and engineering. And we really stand at the edge of a precipice as we look to the future, where we are compelled to create a more healthy and sustainable future. And it's here in this region where we have this great engineering capacity, knowledge, enthusiasm, and collective will to make a difference in the world. It's great to see the very innovative streams that are coming out of mining. How do we make mining more sustainable? How do we make mining methods more ethical? And how do we make mining safer for our workers are just really critical issues. You know, I trained to be a nurse here in Wollongong in the late 70s, and working in mines and the steelworks was a very dangerous occupation. And it's great, as Alison mentioned, that now we can celebrate the safety of our mines. Also, as we look to a sustainable future, mining is part of that. It's not necessarily about extracting coal, it's about how we look for more innovative methods, how we create steel, which is going to be critical for many innovations, including wind farms. How do we create steel with less carbon emissions? So, this centre is going to have a huge impact, not just for the University of Wollongong, but for the amazing partner collaborations that we have here. We know, particularly in industry, that you can't do it alone and that you need to do it in collaboration with our partners. So, in particular today, I would like to firstly thank the Australian Government, and thank you, Alison, for representing Jason Clare here today. But I'd also like to thank many of our research and industry colleagues for the support they have provided in establishing this centre. In particular, I'd like to acknowledge Emeritus Professor Hal Gurdjensky from the University of Queensland, Professor Jun Ma from the University of South Australia and a member of the ARC College of Experts, Professor Wong Tong Ju from the University of Queensland, the Head of School of Mechanical, Medical and Process Engineering and Director of the ARC Training Centre for Joint Biomechanics. Great to have you here. And Professor Jeff Wang from the University of Queensland and the Executive Director of Bow Steel Australia Joint Research and Development Centre. Professor Currow alluded to the importance of collaboration of universities, and I know to make these collaborative research centres work requires a special sort of investigator. This is someone who believes in others rather than just themselves and is committed to training individuals for the future. And today in this room we have investigators who have modelled those important values. But also, we really need to acknowledge the importance of our industry partners. So I also extend our gratitude to Hestel Group, Bow Steel, Rubak, Bisalloy and Komatsu, who are companies at the forefront of sustainable industry development. Hestel Group and Bow Steel are two of the world's largest steel producers. Thank you for your generous contribution to the establishment of this training centre. Both of these organisations have collaborated with the University of Wollongong research team for many years, and this has allowed for the development of high quality, high strength steel products. And these technologies are being rapidly adopted worldwide. Rubak, Bisalloy and Komatsu are local industry partners who are passionate about using their research outcomes in real-world practices. And they are bringing industry-related and research-worthy questions for our team. You've heard from the nodes and centres within this great collaboration that our investigators and their collaborators are going to be embarking on some really innovative, real-world, complex and wicked problems. This collaboration, as epitomised within the ARC collaborative model, underscores the importance of research collaborations between academia and industry. These are the lifeblood of innovation and evolution, helping us to address some of the most complex challenges that we face ahead. As we sit and stand here today in this beautiful environment, we really understand the importance of preserving the beauty that we have in this region, but also the imperative that we have to provide energy, to provide housing, and to provide jobs for the future. So I really look forward to the great work that this centre will do in particular, training the next generations of professionals that are really going to be ready to embrace these new challenges. Thank you, everybody, for being here today on behalf of the University of Wollongong. Thank you, Helen, for your organisation and the team behind who have really made today a very special event. And Wollongong could not look more beautiful today. What a great advertisement for the great things that this wonderful region has to offer. So thank you very much, everyone, for coming, and all the very best for your centre. We'll just keep those publications going, those students going. We won't rest on your laurels, but in particular, the investigators, their commitment to developing the next generation is just hugely important. So thank you so much, everybody.
Dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, that brings to a close the formal proceedings for this afternoon. Please join us downstairs, not upstairs, downstairs for drinks and a chance to catch up and talk to the research team, pick their brains about what they're going to do, and help them celebrate this fantastic milestone today. Thank you all for making time to be here today, and have a great afternoon. Travel safely.